Does anyone want to start, sort of jump in, like what your vibe has been about implementing the units and what was absolutely necessary for success and what our struggles are? Get it going, maybe from who wants to start? Fifth, and work our way down.
I mean, for what it's worth, I'm just realizing this in February. The fifth grade mainly focused on writing this year, the writing workshop, and decided we would implement reading. But as I'm getting ready to start, because I really struggled with our informational unit, as I'm getting ready to start the opinion, I went ahead and looked at the reading workshop, and I realize now I think my life would have been so much easier if I had implemented both, because they definitely go together and it gives more time and exposure, especially with nonfiction, if we had been doing that at the same time that we're implementing the writing workshop. So my suggestion is jump in with both.
And I think it's, one thing I didn't think about, it's so important to read that overview at the beginning. They have welcome to the unit. You think it's, at first I thought, because I'm all about, let's just get to the meat of it. I don't want to spend time with all the fluff. But at the end of the day, if you use this, take the time to read it, because that just gives you a sense of what you're going to be doing. So I would highly recommend doing the welcome to the unit.
And that's something that really came out strongly in our coaching session. We have an independent coach. She doesn't work directly for Heinemann. She's significantly less expensive. She's a retired teacher / literacy specialist / principal, and she's really strong in terms of understanding the units and how they should be implemented. So she would sometimes just say, let's take a few minutes and read it, just to make sure everyone was getting that background.
Yeah.
Last year when we decided to do Lucy Calkins, we just asked the teachers to do 2 writing units. So at the beginning of the year, the only expectation was just to do 2 writing units. So when Sherry's talking about the writing, that's what 5th grade was doing. 3rd and 4th grade, I think, as they started to say, we're going to do all the writing units. Then they started to say, well, why don't we do some of the reading? So they're doing the reading on their own, but with this summer we have a reading PD going on, and then next year we'll probably have our rep come out and do a couple sessions like that she's done with writing. So we try to do a piecemeal, but as Sherry is saying, and I think the other teachers will tell you, if we could start all over, might be one of the things we would say we're doing all of them at the same time and do it all at once.
That's sort of what we're thinking about doing. We're in no way saying we're absolutely doing this. We're still in the investigation stage. Our year of implementation for whatever we choose for ELA will be next year, but we've requested to look at both because, and they've told us, at least our rep has said that they're coming out with the reading components for 6, 7, and 8 here.
That was going to be my next question.
year or two.
6th are out.
Yeah.
Okay, so they must be coming out this fall.
Incrementally, yeah.
So,
We own the 6th grade units, I think, at the middle school even.
the writing or just the reading?
Actually, I think it's writing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's writing.
Our rep said that some of the best units are the middle school units. She really loves the middle school units.
I think we were trying, because it is so different, it's laid out so different. In fact, I think someone in the committee said this is sort of like a college textbook.
That's
I feel
exactly
like I have
what
to.
we've had teachers say.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a reflection, really, of the quality. It's not as, you say this, then you say, it looks different. So I think we were all like, we need to help the teachers take their time. But looking back at that, I agree. I think we'd do that differently because the people that have been most comfortable, I think is the right word, are the ones that went ahead and just started adding to the bare minimum that we said. Because I think just as a teacher, it's hard to switch gears. You're teaching kids the structure, and you're learning the structure, mini lesson, work time, share time, and all that. Why would you stop and do an old method, So
You
kids
just
are
have
getting
to
used
forgive
to it,
yourself that this is new and different, and you just plow through it, and in the end you see the results. So I mean, you just gotta plow
In
through
that
it, even
first
when it's
unit,
uncomfortable.
you will hate it. You will
So
think, oh, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And then you
It's-
get in, and then
Yeah.
you kind of get into a rhythm.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
working out, you know?
Yeah.
You go to
Yeah.
the gym, it's like, ugh. But eventually it gets
Yeah.
easier. So
Yeah.
just
And then it starts to
don't,
get
just
awful
keep,
with
yeah.
You also kind of have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Just
Yeah.
Right.
even
That's
reading the
what you have.
overview, you
Yeah.
still don't exactly know where you're going, you know, until you get maybe into the second bend. So you just, you know, there's a lot of trust involved.
Right.
Just,
Right.
wow, this is not at all the way I would have done it, but
Right.
I'm gonna do it. And it does, then you start to see it toward the end of the unit. Okay, that's how it's coming together.
Is it
So-
helpful that you've all had to do? I don't know if is it helpful that you've all been on the same journey together, or
Yes.
Mhm.
so?
Yes.
Yeah, especially for Angela and I think being first year, I think we have at least I feel like I have a different experience in implementing this because I haven't implemented
Yeah.
anything else.
Right.
So
Right.
it hasn't been like I had to make a switch or
Right.
anything like that. But if I didn't have Jackie right across the hall doing the same thing, no, seriously though, I would have so many questions and I would be so confused, and we're all around the same session usually on the, at least for the writing units, and so that helps too, that we like maybe
Right.
that one they just did session 17 yesterday, so you can go ask them for advice before you did it. So it's been
Well, and
nice.
it's fun to see what you guys have hanging in the hall, because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, we're
Yeah.
kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And so that's exciting for me to see, oh my gosh, they're going to know what I'm talking about
Right.
when I teach it next year, because they're doing that in a smaller version. And then, so that is exciting to see everybody kind of doing the same thing. And I look
we haven't
forward.
been on the same page for a long
Ever-
time. So
ever.
just being on the
Yeah.
same page is
We
really different.
yeah,
Not since
and that's
I've been
that is
at
huge.
North.
That's
We-
half of
Yeah.
We did our
The
first
implementation.
curriculum council meeting, and our K2 uses a program called Super Kids, and that's fairly consistent. And then 3-5, it's like, well, we do this, we do this, we do that, we do this,
Same thing,
and everybody was
6-12.
like, it was heartening to hear the K2 teachers say, you know what, I think we need to let them take the lead on where we need to be spending the funds, or you know, like where we need to focus our energy, because it is very difficult when you don't have something consistent. So.
And they're
Can
in
our
the same
teachers
building.
speak about the changes you've seen and the students writing
That's
from?
what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, that's good.
That, I can speak to that. I think it's the first year I've been able to say to a parent, here's their writing, you know, at conferences in November, here was their first piece, you do a pre-assessment, and then here is where they were kind of in the middle, you can see a huge difference. And then I can say, here's this part they underlined, now look at the final, and it's all theirs, it's not me standing over a
Right.
child and,
Giving
Telling
them
you know,
them to
it's
write.
warts and all, because it's not perfect, but the growth that they make is huge, absolutely huge.
And they're all writing on different stuff, which is
Yeah.
like what
They're
you
really
have
motivated.
Angela hanging in the hall. It's like
Yeah.
they all wrote essays. In the past, you'd say, okay, let's write about your favorite
Yeah.
vacation, and everything's
Yeah.
about vacation.
Yeah.
Which now it's like everybody's writing about maybe your best friend, maybe your vacation, maybe your favorite food. So it's just more liberating for the
They have choice.
students too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah, it's more relevant
Yeah.
to their life.
and it's
It's hard to
more
let
interesting.
that go, I'm
Yeah.
sure, when if
Yeah.
you come from maybe more worksheet driven, you know, here's what we're gonna do today, we're gonna do a graphic organizer and lay out this story. I mean, this is all just.
and they're
you
huge
start
on
writing.
them doing what they feel comfortable organizing themselves. She's a big proponent on teaching them how to, because when they take the test, they're not going to get that graphic organizer
Right.
worksheet and
Right.
here's your Venn diagram.
Yeah.
Teaching them how to organize themselves based on
Right.
What will
Our
help them.
consultant really stressed with us to stay off of teachers pay teachers and just have them in their notebook,
That was pretty-
draw a chart and make
Yeah,
their
do their
own,
own thing.
yeah,
Right. I
do
like
it
that.
so that they learn to.
I had a hard
do
time with that in the
themselves.
beginning. I
Sure.
still wanted to give them a graphic
Well, we
organizer.
haven't had anything for 20 plus years, so you had to go find stuff to
Right.
Yeah.
produce
What we
something.
And some
I
of
think
those
that's-
kids need that. You know, you've got those the kids that aren't organized, that are on IEPs, that you know, then you do give them that, but your goal
Most of
is
them,
to
right. Yeah.
not.
I feel like the most growth I've seen are in my highest writers. I think they
Yes,
were always the
Absolutely.
hardest
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
push ahead. And it's because I didn't know how to
Right.
push them ahead, and now it's very much built in.
It's
They
incredible.
they're the good writers become great writers. Really touching.
And they're excited.
Can we talk about, because I know we have some teachers that are just concerned about our kids that are lower, and
It's
hard.
really hard.
It's very hard.
It is. They will have to look at and choose. We've chosen what's most important, and we have kind of piecemeal that a little bit more, just because they do need a little bit more hand-holding. But next year it'll be, and as a teacher, next year I feel like I'll be able to teach them better because I have a high class and I have a low class, so I can do everything with my high class, and I can see where they're struggling as high students, so I know there's no way these low kids are going to be able to do that, so I kind of pull out some of that stuff. But then next year I feel like I'll be better at it because I'll know how to teach it, so those low kids, I'll be able to push in a little bit more.
so when you say you're able to pull out, are there supports and are there resources for that? Because
Nope.
you just have to pull it out of your experience
Right.
and
You would,
Jackie,
you would
you've
change
got-
your expectation during conference.
I just changed the expectation. So like we're doing opinion writing, and I'm going to be honest, they came
Yeah.
up and they did not write opinion pieces at all. They were writing stories, they were doing whatever. It was not an opinion piece. So my focus right now is, do they now understand they have to give an opinion and some reasons with some examples? I mean, it's very basic. And when I look at the samples, I'll be lucky if I get into like what is second grade writing. Does that?
Yeah.
But that's okay for me right now. They came in and didn't
It's their
even write
first year
an
with
opinion
workshop.
piece. So I think you just kind of have to.
And you can't get those rubrics off,
Right.
because we use the third grade rubric for our lower kids, so the expectations are for that, and you probably are doing it with the second
Well,
grade,
like the
which-
rubric we use, I think has second, third.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
Yeah.
or you could do the second, third, fourth. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
You could just maybe highlight the areas of focus if you only want them looking at one or two things.
It's almost like we should look at your third grade manual for the lower kids. That's an idea
The
too.
progressions document,
Yeah.
work backwards.
There is a progression,
teach
so
what
you
you
can,
teach.
like, for reading and for writing, so the kids can kind of help judge even where they are. There's a lot of goal setting.
Yeah, they're
So
huge.
kids can do that, and
do you guys use, because we use MAP, and I know we've talked about
We're switching.
where you guys, and you're using STAR, but it's the same idea of, an
Yes.
adaptive assessment that gives you an idea. How does that tie into doing this, and is it helpful, or do you not find it as helpful?
We haven't really analyzed that,
Okay.
and since the reading units are new to us, I think that would probably be the best place to start with reading performance versus math. I just don't think we're gonna be able to make a direct correlation between math and writing, other than just our high kids are high, our low kids are low. So I don't know that it's really gonna be a useful tool for informing your instruction. I think having them write and analyzing that in the conference time is going to be far better than MAP or state testing or any of that.
And that's harder to, I mean, we found as a district, having those high kids show the growth is difficult. I feel like this definitely.
what do you guys think about 8th grade, as our schedule is now, is a 45-minute period? That's all. That's for all ELA.
For reading and writing?
Well,
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
say
I mean,
90
it's not. You're not
minutes
going to be
isn't
able to do it. I mean,
We're
that's. I
struggling
mean,
with
90 is not enough.
as I look at it,
I was gonna say, if you're considering not being self-contained, I have 2 language arts classes, and the grading and the fitting everything into my 90-minute block is difficult.
yeah.
Third grade is not set up that way, and they're having an easier time.
Because third grade is
Changing it up.
we're
Minutes.
self-contained for the
Okay.
most part.
What did you say,
So they have
I
more
said we're
flexibility if they need a
self-contained
little extra time.
With the
And
time.
it's
We have 2
and
hours,
7th
and that's
grade,
still not
we have double blocks, so we
Yeah.
have right at 90 minutes. I just have all of the 7th grade, which is not, not that large.
So you have 90 now, you said?
Yes.
Oh.
So if
Yeah.
we
Sixth
were
and
if we
seventh
were going to
grade.
implement for 8th, we'd have to talk about
Oh, for 8th.
blocking.
Yeah,
At least
and I know there's
discuss.
talk of changing our schedule, so.
Mm-hmm. But if you block, you're really just going to have the same amount of time.
So
You're
you
gonna
drop
cut it in half,
from
you know
90
what I
to
mean?
45 in one grade level?
Yes.
So did our
This
middle
was-
school. I mean, that's a trend.
This was the first year. No, that's wrong. This is not the first year. The 2 or 3 years prior, there was one period that was a double block, and we put lower kids into a double period. I mean, for 8th grade. Well, we share teachers, 6 to 12, 6 to 12. So there's shared teachers, and just the way our schedule was set up.
Do you have a 7-period day?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is lunch one of those?
No, it's
No.
contained in 5th period.
So do you have an intervention period or something?
No.
Mm-mm.
So we're off track. I just can't.
I know,
Yeah,
our
yeah.
schedule
We can
is
talk about
not
that.
Well,
good.
it takes up to 45. Where
Yeah.
do the kids go?
They have additional electives and specials that they do.
Does that affect your test scores? Do you see drop
Well,
off with 8?